So we know you love your wrestling podcasts, but maybe you're looking to take a break or supplement your wrestling podcasts with another genre. I've got a great option for you. The podcast is called Philip and Michael Talk Movies. Doesn't get more simple than that, right? So what exactly is this? It's a comedy podcast where indie pro wrestler Philip Shadburn and filmmaker Michael Benton, they tell you everything you ever wanted to know about your favorite movies. They do 80s action, comedies, horror, slasher movies, sci-fi, and a whole bunch more stuff. So check out some of the movies that they've reviewed. Silent Night, Jingle All the Way. They did a bit of a Christmas special. They did Edward Scissorhands, Alien, John Carpenter's E.T., Fire in the Sky, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and Arrival. So, guys, this is a podcast you're going to love. I was listening to just their latest couple of episodes on Close Encounters and Arrival. I was laughing out loud. I mean, they are just such a dynamic duo. They have a great chemistry. The audio is second to none. They have a 4.9 rating on Apple Podcasts. That's impossible. I mean, that is impossible. Guys, we have like a 4.1, all right? They're kicking our ass. They got a 4.9 rating on Apple Podcasts. It's nearly impossible to do. So that tells you the quality of this podcast. And if you want to just get away, you're a movie aficionado, and you love kind of 80s and slashers and things, check out Philip and Michael Talk Movies. They also have a Patreon page if you're interested at patreon.com/PMTM. So you can go support them there. Of course, they're available nearly everywhere you have podcasts as well. So check out Philip and Michael Talk Movies. So are you a trucker, or do you know somebody that's a trucker? Somebody that drives an 18-wheeler for a living, right? They basically live out of their truck. Well, there's a website that I can give to you that may be a great gift for them, and that is truckerfactory.com. That's truckerfactory.com. So what's this website about? It's got everything you need to essentially live in your truck. If you're on the road a lot, this website's for you because it's got everything you'd need, from dash cams to GPS, smartphones, chargers, AC and DC adapters, portable power stations, laptops, everything you need to stay connected, as well as awesome apparel that'll keep you warm while you're on the road, headsets so you're hands-free while you're driving. So we know there's a lot of people out there that drive trucks for a living, and especially today. So go check out truckerfactory.com. All of their prices are extremely reasonable. I mean, really high-end laptops for under $1,000. The latest smartphones at a discounted price. I mean, this is a website that you can't go wrong with if you live on the road, or if you know somebody that's living on a road, driving a truck, for example. So check out truckerfactory.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's AEW Dynamite review show here on the unofficial WWE podcast. Today is January 27th, 2021. You guessed it, as always, we are talking about last night's episode of Dynamite, and we have a whole bunch to get into because it was Beach Break. Whatever that means. I don't know what that means, except for the fact that it's Orange Cassidy's finisher, and somehow Orange Cassidy is always the main event at Beach Break. But other than that, guys, it was still an awesome show. I have a bunch of great stuff I want to get into with you guys, and there was some stuff that I wasn't really a fan of, and I think I'm definitely going to have some unpopular opinions here on this show. So if you're somebody who doesn't like unpopular opinions every now and then, you're probably listening to the wrong show, which you should still stick around anyways. And if you don't like my voice, we have a whole bunch of other voices on this show, including a Raw review with Matt, and an NXT review with Zach Smith, and so much more. SmackDown review with Michael Ritter. There's so much that goes on here. Go check all of it out. Even if you like my voice, you should check out their voices as well, and you should listen to their shows as well, including this Friday of Royal Rumble preview with Matt, and I feel like I've claimed her as my co-host, but the Ashley Man is popping on there to help Matt with the Royal Rumble preview, so look forward to that tomorrow night. Whole bunch of awesome stuff happening here on the WWE podcast, so if you hate ads, you should subscribe. Patreon, $1 a month, totally ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast, or on the app. Just search the WWE podcast on the Patreon app, and you can subscribe and get all these shows ad-free for just $1 a month, or you can subscribe on iTunes as well. There's also that option, and you get an exclusive show or two with the whole deal as well, so It's a lot of bang for your buck, guys. And I did the whole plug before we even did the intro. So I guess we're just changing stuff up this week. And you know what? Let's play the intro and get into last night's episode of Dynamite right after this.
You are not came to AEW to dominate.
Jungle Boy Jeff Perry.
Nobody is going to take this away from me. This is mine once again.
All right, you guys, just like Dynamite last night, we are going to jump right on into things because Dynamite started with Cody Rhodes and Sammy Guevara in the ring. If you wanted to watch the entrances, I think they were on YouTube, which is, you know what? They're making an effort. But you know what? No, guys, we're like 2 seconds into the show, not even. We're about, I don't know, 20 seconds into this portion of the show. And I'm already going to sidetrack. I am already going to sidetrack because I had this thought. I was thinking, I don't know why, that, you know, I watched the show at about 5 a.m. this morning. At least the second half of it, because I fell asleep to some of it last night. Not because it was, you know what, no, I take it back. I fell asleep to the second match on the show, and you'll probably know exactly why when we start talking about that. But I did fall asleep to this last night, and so I had to wake up a little early and finish it this morning before I got myself to my adult job. And I had this thought later on in the day as I was just reminiscing about Dynamite, because that's, I don't know, tell me I'm not alone. Tell me other people do that too, please. And I had this thought that was, why do we shorten stuff? Like, why do we make it so wrestlers can't have their entrances and do all this stuff? Like, why are we cramming so much into a 2-hour episode of Dynamite? Why not just, like, save some of that good stuff and put it on next and, like, allow people to do their entrances and don't feel like matches are rushed and all this stuff? Like, why do we have to cram so much in the 2 hours and 1 hour? Why can't we let stuff breathe a little bit? And that way, you don't have to have challengers for your world title that make it feel like a mid-card feud at best. Just a thought I had. But nonetheless, let's get on into it. Because the whole argument, no, not nonetheless, I'm not done actually. The whole argument about that is that, oh, well, we need to save it, and he's just like, this is just the challenger or whatever for until later. We need to save it for, you know, when the real challenger happens at the pay-per-view or yada yada, like interim challenger essentially. Why have that? Why have that? When you could just stop, you know, wasting all this or like squishing all this stuff together in one show and just like spread stuff out a little bit, let stuff breathe, and that way you have more content for a longer period of time, so you don't have to feel like you have to like put these things that aren't that good in the meanwhile. For like, you don't have to have like a moderate thing at best, by the way, in between two good things. You can just have like a good thing that isn't so, you know, rushed. I don't know if any of that made sense, but let's just get into I already sidetracked. Let's just get into this opening match, because Sammy Guevara, Cody Rhodes, ladder match for the TNT title, and wow, was there a lot of crazy spots in this match. You all remember it probably, and if you didn't watch this match, you're a lunatic and go watch this match. Not because it was a 5-star classic, because it wasn't. And again, all these opinions, subjective. Dave Meltzer's 5-star rating stuff, subjective. Any other podcast you listen to, thoughts, subjective. And anybody else you're talking to about wrestling, any wrestling fans, right? All opinions on this stuff, all opinions on anything, it's just subjective, right? This is a weird comparison, but I'm just feeling like a little sidetrack train today, so we're gonna do it again. The weird analogy, but like museums. I always found museums so weird, like art museums specifically. I don't get it, because I go in there and like I'm really uninterested by like a good amount of the stuff, and like my dad will just stand there and look at that stuff and be like, oh, and my brother will sit there and look at this and like, My other brother and I are looking at each other like, are we supposed to pretend like we are being, you know, provoked by this because they're being provoked by this, thought provoked, and to not look shallow and unintelligent? No, but like that's not how it works, right? Because later on in the museum, or maybe in a different part of wherever we're at that time, or a different kind of museum or whatever, like we are provoked. Everything is subjective. Art is subjective, and wrestling is a type of art. I don't know if that made any sense, but really, to these people, at least I think in AEW, right, to most of the wrestlers in AEW, wrestling is an art form. You don't teach Tony Khan. I think I still have that tweet pinned on my Twitter. By the way, you can follow me on that Twitter at Mimi Burris. But anyways, and I think I still have that tweet pinned. That's Tony Khan saying, this is like a non-idiotic tweet by Tony Khan. Would you believe that? But you can't teach wrestlers to like paint by numbers. I'm totally butchering that, and I don't know exactly how it goes. So you know what? Cliffhanger, because my memory's so awful, you're going to have to go follow me or just go check out my Twitter at Mimi Burris to see the tweet that I'm talking about, because it was a really good point. And if I don't have it pinned there anymore and I just totally forgot about that, then this has been a waste of your time and mine. So let's move on down back to our match here. This ladder match was, I don't want to call it a spot fest, but obviously we had just off the top of my head, right? I'm not even looking at any notes or anything, right? And that's because these spots were memorable enough where here I am about a little under 24 hours later and I still can remember these spots. We had the cutter off the cutter off the ladder, off the other ladder. Like Sammy Guevara was on one ladder, but really he was on the turnbuckle, but then the other ladder, and then there was another ladder. The cutter was the highlight of the match, without a doubt. Sammy Guevara used the top of a metal ladder and made it look like a trampoline. Like Mouth was on the floor watching that. Just absolutely, like I can't even describe that. I don't know how a human being does that. I just don't. I didn't like the height that he got on that, and the crossroads off the ladder looked like Sammy Guevara got a concussion. The senton on the outside onto Cody Rhodes, who was on a ladder. And the ricochet off of Cody Rhodes, oh my God, it just ugh. And the superplex where Cody Rhodes just like held him up top for so long. I didn't think they were actually gonna go like I didn't think it was actually gonna happen. And then all of a sudden, Sammy Guevara and Cody Rhodes are on the ground in agony. So a bunch of awesome spots in this match, guys. And really, the finish being that Sammy Guevara just hit Cody Rhodes over the head with the title. Cody Rhodes fell, Sammy Guevara took the titles off the little bar thing at the top there, and we have a new, kind of new, not really new, TNT champion in Sammy Guevara. Which, you know, result aside, I guess, let's get into the match first and foremost. And I bit my lip, you guys, the other day. Actually, I was allergic to something. I had some kind of allergic reaction to something, and my lip got all huge, and then I accidentally bit it. So, like, I really bit it. I don't know if you've ever been to the dentist and they numb your gums or they numb your mouth or something, and then you accidentally bite your cheek, and then the next day you're like, oh my God, this really, you know what, hurts because you couldn't feel it the day before. Well, that's what happened the other day is I bit my lip by accident, and now I have this super poofy lip, and it makes podcasting or just talking in general to other human beings really difficult. So bear with me as my speech is handicapped at the moment with this, with my poofy lip. But anyways, what was I saying? What were we talking about? Oh, yeah, the ladder match. All right. So the Cody Rhodes and Sammy Guevara, I love the way this started. And I think I really like the way it started because Cody Rhodes has beaten Sammy Guevara every single time they've gotten in the ring together, right? Sammy Guevara cannot beat Cody Rhodes in a wrestling match. And it was clear with the way that they were going back and forth, right? Cody Rhodes clearly had Sammy Guevara's number, and then they make their way to the outside. A very good transition from, like, pure wrestling match in a way to now we're getting into a ladder match. And for me, guys, that's where the good transitions stopped. I'm going to make a weird comparison here, but bear with me because I've been making weird comparisons all podcast long. I've been making weird comparisons. And this one's just about as weird. I'm going to bring you back to NXT. I'm going to bring you back to the empty Performance Center NXT. Actually, we're going to go to dark times. And it was Raquel Gonzalez and Rhea Ripley. Raquel Gonzalez and Rhea Ripley in a last woman standing match. And I think it was my high for the week, back for the originals who remember the highs and lows of the week. And they had a last woman standing match, and it was an incredible match, despite the fact that Raquel Gonzalez just, like, ripped, I don't know, chain link fencing. That looked really cool. This is when Raquel Gonzalez was still really cool. And Rhea Ripley still had some kind of aura. But this match was so awesome. And last man standing match was so awesome. And we're going to talk about this in the main event as well. But because these two women managed to make it so when they went from one area of the arena, whether it was backstage, near the ring, outside of the ring, whatever, when they went from one area to the other, you were almost like, oh my God, like when, let's say, okay, so when they went from A to B to C to D to E, we're at E, and you're like, oh my God, how did we get to E here? I thought we were at A. Like, it just was such a smooth transition because it didn't feel forced. It wasn't like we were just trying to get over here to get over here. Like, there was a really good spot in the match with Dakota Kai in a locker, and that was really funny. Like, Rhea Ripley locking Dakota Kai in a locker. Just creative, good stuff. But it didn't feel like they were like doing a spot fest where they were just going from A spot to B spot to C spot, and D spot's over here, so we have to like punch each other and make our way over here. And this brings me to my next issue, which I have this in all matches, not just this match, in every single match ever, essentially, that's ever done this. I can't stand when wrestlers go into the crowd. I can't stand it. And I have been in the crowd and like wanted to see that. Yeah, sure. But to me on TV, it's like not worth it. It's so, it every single time it takes me out of the moment because it always looks so fake all of a sudden. Like the punches are so, like they're just, everything gets sloppier because you're around a bunch of other human beings. You don't want to hurt anybody else who's not a professional wrestler. You don't want to even hurt the person you're in a wrestling match with. And so everything looks contrived, and you're like walking backwards together as you're punching each other just to get to a certain spot to do a certain move. It never looks fluid and natural. And obviously they did that in this match for a little while. They went to the outside. It was very short, but still, I can't stand it. Immediately, you've lost like Mimi points. I don't know if you guys are keeping track of your Mimi points, but Sammy Guevara and Cody Rhodes lost Mimi points when they went out into the crowd in about the middle of their match last night. So that's a perfect example of like, oh, we're just trying to get from here to here because it looks cool or because we have to get over here. Like, it's when things look scripted and contrived, I guess is the best word for it. I immediately am no longer in the moment. I can't focus. Like, I'm not just enjoying the match. I'm like, ugh, I don't know. It takes me out every single time. If you guys have never seen that match between Raquel Gonzalez and Rhea Ripley, again, it's NXT Empty Performance, so it's going to be a little jarring now that we got our crowds back here. God willing, stay safe, wear a mask, get vaccinated, get boosted, and all that stuff, so we can continue to, hopefully be safe and have full arenas again, and continue to have full arenas, I mean. But yeah, I would go watch it if you haven't seen this match. I wouldn't blame you guys for not watching because the NXT Performance Center era sucked. But Capital Wrestling Center, whatever it was called. But yes, this match is definitely worth a watch, and it's a really good example of getting from one spot to the other. And I'm gonna go on a totally severe tangent here, guys, but I promise we will reel it back in and we'll skip through some of the stuff on the show we don't care about. But Mick Foley has been on the record multiple times of saying he's and other people who have wrestled him as well, saying that he's really good at, doing like the magician's trick where he distracts you over here with something else so you don't notice we have something going on over here, right? Like, and the best example I can think of this is, I think I got this from some documentary, actually, that they did in the WWE Network, or Peacock or whatever it was on. Triple H, Mick Foley, Hell in a Cell match. I don't know what year it was. I don't remember what. I'm not that good, but I know they were on top of the cell, and they were gonna do something. I can't even remember what the thing that they were actually gonna do was, but Mick Foley lit a piece of wood on fire. And that was like there's not a word for it and I can't think of it, like not the red herring, but like that was like the distraction piece. Like, look, everybody at this big flame, and then they ended up doing something else. And I can't even, someone tweet me on what happened. I'm sure one of you will know. One of you guys, most of you have so much more wrestling knowledge than I do. Yeah, so tweet me on what they actually did on the top rope there. Or if you've seen that documentary on Peacock / the WWE Network and you know what I'm talking about. That kind of stuff is so underutilized now. People don't do that anymore. They just go from spot to spot, and that's to me what this match felt like. It felt like, we have a lights out match later on in the show, so we can't get too violent, so we have to get ladder match violent, which means we have to jump off the ladder 600 times. And it really felt like it was like they built, we're going to talk about this later on actually with a promo, but they built the match around a couple spots they wanted to do, and that's why they're having a ladder match. It didn't feel earned. It felt spotty, and not in a good way, and it felt like they just contrived and got from one way to the other. With all that being said, guys, these are two grown men who put their body through absolute hell to do all this stuff. I always want to, make sure I'm acknowledging that. Like, I could never, I fall over. Not even. I lay down in bed and I struggle to get back up out of bed. Everything creaks. I'm young and not able, right? So, like, power to these guys and ladies and everybody who put themselves through all this. I don't mean to sound like a spoiled wrestling fan, but we're on here to critique stuff, right? And to me, right, wrestling is an art, and my version of the version of art that I like to look at the museum, guys, isn't the one that's just spot here, spot there. I like to look at something that's more of a fluid motion. I'm more of a watercolor kind of gal, if you know what I mean. And if you guys are more of whatever, splatter paint, that's cool too. If you enjoyed this, because a lot of people really seem to enjoy this, that's cool too. I enjoyed watching these incredible spots, and Sammy Guevara is going to continue to be this person who, puts forth amazing, feats of athleticism and ingenuity and all that stuff. And Cody Rhodes, power to him as well, worked a really good match here. Cody Rhodes is such a veteran, and you could see it. And I don't think you could get like that Crossroads to look so good, and you could never even get that cutter to look something like that senton where it looked like Sammy Guevara just like fell from out of a plane. You could never get any of that stuff to look that good with any other people besides Cody Rhodes and Sammy Guevara. So power to these guys. They definitely put their bodies on the line, and it was entertaining-ish, for sure. It just, I don't know, I wouldn't rank this as like a good match personally. Result pending, right? Sammy Guevara winning the TNT title. I was surprised. I really thought they were going to go with Cody with this, and I'm curious to know where they're going to go with Cody next, if they're going to do anything at all, because in that promo that Ashley and I talked about last week, in that promo that he cut last week on Dynamite, he pretty much laid out about 6 programs while he was, forgot to even mention until the end the actual match that he needed to have with Sammy Guevara, but whatever. So I'm excited to hear where Cody Rhodes goes next in a way, but also I'm more excited because, like morbid curiosity. I don't think this stuff that Cody Rhodes is doing is good, per se. I think sometimes it can be entertaining in a morbid curiosity kind of way, and like I watch Cody Rhodes now with I actually feel like I went into this entire show nervous. I was almost I just really wanted the show to be good. And I just really wanted it to be well executed. And I just really wanted everybody to have a great night. And I just really wanted the fans to be happy and the performers to be happy and wrestlers, to be happy, and Tony Khan to be, I just wanted everybody to be happy. And I just feel like I don't know. I just went into this whole thing nervous. I just wanted everybody, just like a nervous, excited way. And I definitely think a lot of it lived up to the hype, if not more so. But I think a lot of stuff, I don't know, a lot of stuff on this Dynamite, none of this stuff was terribly awful. It just wasn't. It's not like we had 17 interruptions again. So, you're not going to hear me rant about that for an entire 40 minutes. But it felt like, I think the theme of the show was it felt like people had one idea and then tried to build something around it rather than trying to build building blocks. Is that the best way to describe it? It felt like, okay, last analogy for the next 5 minutes, I promise, guys. But I don't know if anybody else had little fake brick building blocks when they were kids. Or if you still have them now when you're a grown adult, power to you, by the way. No judgment here. We don't judge here on the WWE podcast. But I remember we had these awesome ones that they were all these different neon colors, and you could open the top and you could put stuff inside of it as well. And then we had regular little wooden fake cardboard, not wooden, they were not wooden, cardboard fake brick block things. My whole point is we would build these giant walls, right? And we would actually bust through them, a la Stone Cold and stuff like that, but we couldn't shatter glass. So, but yes, we would bust through them. And if I tried to build that wall, right, and I took one block and I had, I had the idea, I want the wall to start here, and I just you can't see me because this is a podcast, and I just put that block in the middle of the air, right, at arm's length, and I just put that and said, you know what, I'm going to start here and we're going to build around it. It would fall and it wouldn't work. It would fall and it would not work because you can't build around, even if I had 6 of those and I just put them all around in different areas and I said, you know what, this is going to be our weird little structure, and then we will build up from here, but we need to build around these little bricks. It wouldn't work, right? Clearly, gravity would happen, and all the bricks would fall. I felt like this entire show suffered from a lot of angles that had that mentality of like, oh, I want to do this spot, and that spot, or I want to do this promo, and that promo, and I want to say this in my promo, and I want to do that, or I want to do this in the angle, and this in the match, and this. How can we build to get to this point? Because rather than just like building a story arc, and I don't think that works. And I think every now and then maybe, but I don't. It didn't work for me last night. However, a lot of the wrestling was super entertaining. And, like, right, we saw that amazing cutter Sammy Guevara did. So it's not like we're watching a bad wrestling show. I really did enjoy a lot of this. But when you actually pick it apart for, like, what it was, it didn't have a lot of substance to it. So, all right, speaking of not having a lot of substance to it. No, I don't even know what we're talking about next. I just wanted to have a good transition. But actually, you know what? That would be totally wrong because these men, all three of these men have more substance than I will ever hope to have in each one of their pinky fingers that I will ever have in my entire life. Because we had Powerhouse. We had Will Hobbs, Absolute Ricky Starks, and Tony Schiavone outside being interviewed. Tony Schiavone was doing the interviewing, and they were on a beach. But it was freezing cold and snowy because it is January, right? It's January, and why they do beach break in the middle of the winter, I don't know. But because Orange Cassidy is having a feud that's coming to a head, that's why they do it. Powerhouse Hobbs, by the way, the overalls and the jacket, while like Tony Schiavone's talking about the fact that his hand is frozen to the microphone, and Ricky Starks has got all these layers on, and I'm loving Powerhouse Hobbs more and more every week, guys. With like the week before with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know why that it was so funny to me. And then the overalls and the jacket. I think they talked about how they're gonna have another match against Dante Martin. Powerhouse Hobbs is, and I'm excited for that because I thought the last two did not deliver as to what they could. Like, I think these guys definitely need a last shot. And with Powerhouse Hobbs winning the first match, Dante Martin winning the second, you've got your best of 3 series. And I think there's still a lot more juice to get out of this fruit because I really don't think they got a lot out of it. I don't think the other 2 matches were all that great. I understand that both men are still fairly green. So that would be the reasoning. But with that being said, it's almost like it's an expected over delivery, if that makes any sense. So I don't know. I'm excited to watch this match again, and this whole promo made me laugh. I thought this was funny. So we had Wardlow versus 2 dudes. I didn't get their names. We had some power bombs, and we all sang to the power bombs, and it was a symphony. And then we didn't have the Shawn Spears chair stuff. As always, guys, you've heard me say it every week. I love this. This is like a necessary evil, except it's not evil. It's wonderful. If you're ever having a bad day, for me, I need to watch Malachi Black kick people in the face, preferably Brock Anderson. You can watch Wardlow powerbomb poor innocent men to, the inner depths of a wrestling ring. Next up, we had 2.0 and Daniel Garcia versus the Inner Circle and Chris Jericho. And I'm going to give you the result first, I guess. The Inner Circle did win, technically by a pile driver from Santana on Matt Lee, and they got the pinfall, but with a little assist from Chris Jericho with the Judas effect. If you guys didn't see this for any reason, the whole story of this match was that Chris Jericho, that both Proud and Powerful, Santana and Ortiz were refusing to tag in Chris Jericho. They were still mad at their dad. They were mad at their dad, wouldn't tag him in, and kept tagging each other in. And even when Chris Jericho would tag himself in, they would just tag themselves back in. I did like that part. I was like, yeah, you can just reach in and re-tag yourself in. That's such a funny thing. Sometimes people just don't do that. You could just have literally a match that's just endless tags. But, yeah, so that was the story of this match. And Chris Jericho essentially, gets off the apron by the end of it, is all upset about it, and hits the Judas effect on Matt Lee. And then, like I said, they're able to get the windfall. Santana hitting a pile driver on him as well and then pinning him. And after the match, they go back and forth a little bit. We don't hear what they're saying, obviously. But so, essentially, the problem that I had with this, the actual wrestling in the ring was not bad, right? We've talked about this before. We just talked about it before. We just talked about it a couple minutes ago. These people put their body on the line for our entertainment. I will always appreciate that.
You're listening to the WWE Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
So are you a trucker, or do you know somebody that's a trucker? Somebody that drives an 18-wheeler for a living, right? They basically live out of their truck. Well, there's a website that I can give to you that may be a great gift for them, and that is truckerfactory.com. That's truckerfactory.com. So what's this website about? It's got everything you need to essentially live in your truck. If you're on the road a lot, this website's for you because it's got everything you'd need, from dash cams to GPS, smartphones, chargers, AC and DC adapters, portable power stations, laptops, everything you need to stay connected, as well as awesome apparel that'll keep you warm while you're on the road, headsets so you're hands-free while you're driving. So we know there's a lot of people out there that drive trucks for a living, and especially today. So go check out truckerfactory.com. All of their prices are extremely reasonable. I mean, really high-end laptops for under $1,000. The latest smartphones at a discounted price. I mean, this is a website that you can't go wrong with if you live on the road, or if you know somebody that's living on a road, driving a truck, for example. So check out truckerfactory.com. So we know you love your wrestling podcasts, but maybe you're looking to take a break or supplement your wrestling podcasts with another genre. I've got a great option for you. The podcast is called Philip and Michael Talk Movies. Doesn't get more simple than that, right? So what exactly is this? It's a comedy podcast where indie pro wrestler Philip Shadburn and filmmaker Michael Benton, they tell you everything you ever wanted to know about your favorite movies. They do 80s action, comedies, horror, slasher movies, sci-fi, and a whole bunch more stuff. So check out some of the movies that they've reviewed. Silent Night, Jingle All the Way. They did a bit of a Christmas special. They did Edward Scissorhands, Alien, John Carpenter's E.T., Fire in the Sky, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and Arrival. So, guys, this is a podcast you're going to love. I was listening to just their latest couple of episodes on Close Encounters and Arrival. I was laughing out loud. I mean, they are just such a dynamic duo. They have a great chemistry. The audio is second to none. They have a 4.9 rating on Apple Podcasts. That's impossible. I mean, that is impossible. Guys, we have like a 4.1, all right? They're kicking our ass. They got a 4.9 rating on Apple Podcasts. It's nearly impossible to do. So that tells you the quality of this podcast. And if you want to just get away, you're a movie aficionado, and you love kind of 80s and slashers and things, check out Philip and Michael Talk Movies. They also have a Patreon page if you're interested at patreon.com/PMTM. So you can go support them there. Of course, they're available nearly everywhere you have podcasts as well. So check out Philip and Michael Talk Movies.
Welcome back to the WWE Podcast. Let's get back to more great wrestling audio.
However, I feel like I've seen this match 6 times, and this was the way more boring version of it, because this one didn't have Eddie Kingston. It had Chris Jericho, 50-year-old Chris Jericho. Let's call a spade, guys. And I've seen this 6-man tag a million times too. It just didn't, I don't know. I felt I couldn't tell you a thing that happened in this match. I could not tell you a thing that happened in this match other than the story that was being told with the Inner Circle. And the stories, whatever. I don't know. Is the Inner Circle breaking up? To me, I don't hate it. I don't hate the story. I do not hate the story. I just think that this was a longer match to tell a weird story. And I think 2.0 should have got the victory if they lost to these people. Really, it was a 3-on-2 handicap match. So you'd think that, it just doesn't make Daniel Garcia in 2.0 look that good. This was boring. I've just seen this. I've seen this 600 times. And we saw street fights and all this other versions of this whole match. And I don't know. It feels like every 2.0 and Daniel Garcia match is just a rerun. Like, it just feels like it's the same thing. Tell me why this is any different than when they feuded with Darby Allin, Jon Moxley, and Eddie Kingston. It's like the same exact thing that they got going on. So I don't know. I need something new. This is just so with 2.0 and Daniel Garcia specifically, but also let's move this story with the Inner Circle and Santana and Ortiz if we want it to continue. If I want to be entertained by this, I think we have to move it on. Like, move on from 2.0 and Daniel Garcia and just, like, I don't know, maybe you find the next story beat that doesn't have to do with those three men, because I've seen every, it feels like, it hasn't even been, but it feels like I've seen every variation of this match. So, all right, we got a video package for Hangman Adam Page and Lance Archer. You guys kind of heard what I had to say about that already, so we're going to move on. We got a video package, not a video package, an interview with Tony Schiavone, Jurassic Express, Kristen Cage, and Private Party with Matt Hardy. Private Party is the new number one contenders. They're going to challenge Jurassic Express. I don't know, guys. I still think they should have kept the titles on the Lucha Bros. To me, it doesn't feel like one of the four pillars won the title. It just, I don't have that feeling yet. And all these, like, little, all these little matches you're going to get with, what's his name? Why am I totally, the Gun Club. The Gun Club and Private Party and all that. That's great. I'm always advocating for more Private Party wrestling on my television. I think they're so incredibly talented. I think you rewind like 2 years, and Private Party were like still, I feel like, a bigger deal then than they are now with this whole Hardy Family Office thing. So I don't know. There's a comment about a watch that I thought it was kind of funny with the Jungle Boy, but I'm ready for them to, like, flip the switch with this. Well, not flip the switch, but really build up a little bit again with this Christian and Jungle Boy feud thing turning on each other. I have a feeling that's not going to happen until they lose the titles. Oh, this is a short title reign. I think that's probably what they should do, is have this be a short title reign and have FTR take the belts off them, or have Young Bucks take the belts off them, or give the belts to a reliable team for a little while, so we can rebuild this tag team division and make those titles feel as prestigious as they did around the Young Bucks belts, because they did not feel that way around the Lucha Bros, and that's a booking problem, and they do not feel that way around the Jurassic Express yet, and I think that's also another booking problem. This is the problem too, when you have people who are such big stars, and then you have nothing, and then you have the Hardy Family Office. I'm just going to leave that there. All right, next up we had CM Punk coming out secretly underneath his sweatshirt, and those god dang long boys. Guys, I couldn't focus. This entire segment was probably one of the best segments, if not the best segment of the night, and I couldn't focus because of those stupid long boys. Put the trunks on, CM Punk. You don't look like you look like Sting. You look like 60-year-old Sting. Did no one else get that vibe? With the black shirt and the trunks and I'm done. Just put the trunks on. Or the shorts even. Put the shorts on. You looked awesome. I don't know why I'm saying you. CM Punk, I'm talking directly to you. Phil Brooks, sir, Mr. Brooks. You looked awesome in the trunks when you fought Eddie Kingston, but Hook is kind of wearing the trunks, so you probably don't want to go there right now. I wouldn't if I were you. Not the trunks. I mean, not the shorts, the little shorts, the fight shorts. I understand why you would not want to wear the fight shorts right now, CM Punk. I totally get it. But put the trunks on. Get rid of the long boys. Get rid of the tights. I can't focus, guys. I can't do it, man. I can't do it. Anyways, all right. This was a really good segment, despite the tights, despite my subjective inability to handle the fact that CM Punk looks like an old man in those tights. CM Punk came out, had the scarf on, cut a whole promo about how CM Punk was a baby, wuss, yada, yada, yada. You guys all know it. Great stuff, as always. I don't mean to say it like that, but I also think I've given up on trying to recite anything MJF or a CM Punk or anybody like that says. I just realized I started continuing to re-record as my Keurig is going. I hope you guys can't hear that, but if you can, I hope you, too, can put coffee on a Keurig and enjoy yourself. I'm not making coffee right now, though. I'm making tea. I'm a tea drinker now, guys. I'm that kind of person. I also salute on Zoom. During Zoom meetings, when we all log off, I salute. That's the kind of person I am. All right, let's where were we? We were talking about MJF. MJF comes out, obviously, once CM Punk starts saying stuff. And MJF basically says that he will have a match with CM Punk in Chicago. And that he says, he said something about suing a little bit here and there, obviously playing back to the whole thing with Colt Cabana. I don't know if that's canon yet. I don't know if we're going to get that match, guys. I don't know if we're going to get Colt Cabana and CM Punk. But yeah, this was an amazing segment because of the back and forth, obviously, because it's CM Punk and MJF. It wasn't their best promo battle yet, but when CM Punk talks about how he says He's always taking matters into his own hands. He never lied to the people. He'd rather be him, try and fail, than be like MJF, someone who talks a big game and then just never shows up. He said that Max paid to see him stand in line, paid to stand in line to get an autograph, to take a picture with him, and says, "How dare you put this on these people?" Stands by all his decisions, and that the people don't love him because he wins a lot. People love him because he gets back up even when he loses, and just like the people of Cleveland, just like Chicago, I thought that was a little cheesy, but whatever. He gets back up and fights another day, or something along those lines. And then MJF goes, "Oh, you always get back up? Let's give that a little test run here." Sends Sean Spears comes out, attacks the Inner Circle, beat him down. Not the Inner Circle. Pinnacle? I'm sorry, I forgot the Pinnacle existed for a little while. The Pinnacle beat him down, and MJF sits on top of CM Punk. Crisscross applesauce, spoons in the motherfucking bowl. Says that it's apropos that where your career started in Chicago, obviously, is where it's going to end next week. And we are getting the match next week, guys. MJF versus CM Punk. I already have a polling question to ask you guys, and I feel like I could ask every single time when they announce some big match like this. Do you think this opens or main events? Because really, MJF, AEW, just too many things that are 3 syllables. AEW has treated that opening slot more like a main event than the main event, let's be honest, right? And but then again, is this match going to need all that time? Is this the kind of match that can be? I don't know. To me, this is the main event. This should be booked as the main event of the show, not the opening match. But to me, you kind of give your work rate matches your opening match of the night. And I wouldn't... MJF... excuse me. MJF is an incredible wrestler, don't get me wrong. And really, if you don't believe me, go watch the Jungle Boy match. Go watch the Darby Allin match. Like when MJF... Go watch the Chris Jericho matches. When MJF needs to put on the show, he puts on the show. He's incredible in the ring. We just don't get to see it all that often. So he's really like a special attraction. Good, supply and demand. But you don't think of him as a work rate guy. You know what? As I'm saying all this, I'm talking myself out of it because Darby Allin and MJF opened up Full Gear, and it was my favorite match of the night. So who knows? But I still think, I don't know, to me, I'm a traditionalist, and I like the main event. I'm not a traditionalist at all, actually. But I do like... the idea of having the main event be the main event and be the last match on the card. And I think that this is well deserving of it, well worthy of it. So I'm looking forward to this. And I thought this was really good. I thought another really good point of all this was the whole Wardlow deal, obviously. If you are living under a rock lately, you're unaware of the fact that Wardlow is getting sick of MJF's you-know-what. And the money that he is making from him is pretty much little by little not worth it. Not worth it anymore. Not worth having to deal with the accountability buddy Sean Spears. Not worth having to powerbomb this guy that he probably has some kind of respect for into absolute oblivion. Not worthy of, just not worth it anymore to take all the crap that he takes from MJF. So, and then you get him in his hometown of Cleveland where he already had the squash match beforehand, and he is so over with this audience. The only little tweak I would have made to this is I don't think I would have booked a squash match. I think I would have just had him come out in this capacity. I think you leave these hometown fans wanting more, but obviously AEW, Tony Khan likes to try to think that he is the company that does the nice things. They are the nice company. And you book a guy when he's in his hometown, or a lady when he's... I don't know why I said it like that. A lady, when a lady's in her hometown, you book her in a match. But, however, somehow, Southern accent aside... I see the appeal in that, and I love that. And I love that AEW works around where they're going next, their next destination, and it, like, intertwines that in their storyline. I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg, but whatever, however they're doing it, it's working in this case. And this is the hottest feud in all of pro wrestling right now. Sorry. Try to tell me differently. I dare you. CM Punk, MJF, it is, to me, it's everything that I wanted it to be. And I got I got my fill of promos for now. Obviously, I don't think this is a one and done match. Then we're over. I think we're going to have another match at Revolution at least. I think the way I would do it, because this is my next question for you guys, is who wins, right? A little preview for next week on top of this, because I don't do a preview show here. Who wins? MJF or CM Punk? And if you ask me, which I assume you're doing right now, so thank you, listener, for asking me, I don't know. I thought I had an answer, and I guess I literally, as I was about to say it, I talked myself out of it. I don't know. I think the way you do it is you have one win one. You have, let's say, again, hypothetically, you have MJF win one match, and then you go back and run it back somehow, some way, and you have CM Punk win the second match, or vice versa, and then you have the blow-off at the pay-per-view, and do another best-of-3 kind of series. I don't think, as I, you know what, and moaned about AEW doing all these rematches with this 2.0 stuff or whatever, and feeling really stale at this point, AEW has enough goodwill with me on not being the rematch company with these big matches that I think you can use it for this because I think we definitely, I don't know, I guess let's see how the first match goes, but I have a feeling I know who's going to win. I don't know if it's the right decision or not, but I have a feeling it's going to be MJF, and I have a feeling it's going to have something to do with Hook or Crook. And if it's not MJF by Hook or Crook, it's going to be CM Punk, and it's going to have something to do with Wardlow being sick of MJF's you-know-what. So those are my thoughts. I'm so unbelievably excited for next week in that match. And we got a tag team match, too, obviously with Private Party and Jurassic Express, which I know is, not the most marquee of all matches, but it's definitely in-ring going to be great quality, and I'm looking forward to that, too. So at least I think that match is supposed to be on Dynamite. It might be on Rampage. I don't... guys, it all blurs together at this point, and I'm old and tired, so... All right, after the beatdown, we had Julia Hart and Griff Garrison being interviewed backstage, and, AEW and its quota, of course, it has to have one backstage interruption, at least one. I want you, if you, lovely listener at home, by the way, thank you all for listening to the show. I always appreciate it. It's unbelievable to me that there are that many of you out there that listen to my voice. It's unbelievable to me that there are 2 of you that listen to my voice out there, let alone more than 2. So I just want to thank you there. But lovely listener at home, if you feel as though you're bored this weekend or whatever, please watch every Dynamite ever and find me a Dynamite episode that does not have an interruption. Bonus points if it's that doesn't have a backstage interruption. Bonus points if it's any kind of interruption, but find me a match that doesn't, or find me an AEW Dynamite episode that does not have a backstage interruption. You get -5 points if you can find me a Rampage that doesn't have a backstage interruption, because that's not what I asked for. So, all right, Smart Mark Sterling, though, rolls up, comes on in, interrupts, obviously. I don't even know what they were asking, because it doesn't matter. That the interview has nothing to do with it. Why are we interviewing Griff Garrison and Julia Hart? Like, who's really, is anybody looking forward to that? That's not the point here. We all know what's going to happen. And, Mark Sterling gives her a contract to sign to release, sign a release form, essentially, because she's going to wrestle with one eye, because she's got the eye patch on now. She's Julia Hart. Julia Hart. I didn't do it well enough. I don't pronounce my R's very well, so it's not funny, but it would have been really funny if I did. Jade Cargill is having a match with her for the TBS Championship, so she needed to sign a release form. I'm looking forward to seeing Jade Cargill kick the you-know-what out of her, and she should probably just join the House of Black, or, I don't know, do something, because is she going to wear the eye patch forever? Is she going to be as committed to the eye gimmick as Malachi Black is? Because if she has, power to her. You know what? I take it back. I refute everything that I just said. Power to her. If she wears that eye patch for the rest of her life, I'm talking about hospice care. She's got that eye patch on. I take it back. I refute everything that I said on this podcast about her, and this whole thing being silly and being long and drawn out, because that's exactly what it feels like. I'm gonna forget it. I know it's later on in the show because we got the women's match next, but I do want to quickly mention it. Malachi Black and Brody King, awesome, super cool, badass, like dudes with tattoos that are, I don't know what they are, but they have faces on them, and like, long hair, but not really, because they know they're like bald, but they have long hair, and they wear eye makeup, and like listen to music where they scream a lot, and light candles, and like sit in the dark and just like think about darkness. I'm obviously making fun of it now, but really Really awesome promo. And there was a line in it too, and I'm going to forget exactly what it was, and I'm never going to say it as cool as Malachi Black did. Brody King said, I think, like death, and then there was a really long dramatic pause. So I was going to do the really long dramatic pause, but that doesn't make for good audio content, hence why I talk so fast. So it said, Brody King said, like death, and then Malachi Black said, we're inevitable. If you didn't hear that because the microphone didn't pick up my whispering, which it probably did, and it probably made you really uncomfortable, so I'm sorry about that. Like death, we're inevitable. I thought that line was really, really awesome, and in case I missed that little promo segment thing, whatever they cut, whatever that you want to call it, I did want to make a quick mention of that because it's on the top of my head, and I have these thoughts that are on the top of my head, and then I forget to say them, and then I have, like, for example, I meant to say earlier on in the, I should write them down. I should write them down on my hand, but I have too many tattoos where I try to write stuff on my hand, and then I go on to my arm, and I have all these annoying things in the way. So, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, ladder match. I had a thought about it, and I forgot to say anything about it. It was like singles matches, 2 people in the ring. Ladder matches, don't do it for me. So I also, subjective point of view right there, you're already starting at like a lower point for me. The believability of it just doesn't work in my brain for some reason. It never has. And I have some singles matches, like ladder matches that I have really enjoyed in the past, and give you like Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, obviously, at SummerSlam. And then, I think so. And then 06? Oh, did I get the date even in that? The year? SummerSlam 06? I could be so wrong about that. I don't think it was 06. It might be 04. But then in the Undertaker, Jeff Hardy on Raw, that was like, I don't know, 2000 something. I'm not going to have the date for that one. But I do have a couple of those out there. Those are 2 really random ones. But really, I'm saying the Shawn Michaels, whatever. No. It's Jeff Hardy and Undertaker on Raw. And Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. Those are 2 ladder matches I did enjoy. But still, the believability for it for me, in my head, I'm just having Eddie scream out, where the F is Vicky? All right, let's move on, because we have a women's match to talk about, and, I want to give this all the credit in the world, because the fans are just don't seem to, and I'm not even going to blame them about it, but let's talk about the match first, and then we will get into that. Excuse me, I wanted to take a sip of my tea, because, guys, I'm a tea drinker now. All right, Leila Hirsch versus Red Velvet. This, I thought, was one of Red Velvet's better showings, at least on Dynamite. You guys know, I've just said it loud and clear. I don't watch Dark and Dark Elevation, except for the one time I was at Grand Slam, and I watched it live, but it was really just a big show beating up a bunch of people, so I don't know. It was fun though, good time. I don't have the time to put that on YouTube and watch it as well, so and also it just doesn't have, I always say that I don't have the time. It's not necessarily about that, you guys, because I watched Dynamite at 5 a.m. this morning, so it's more so, even Rampage is starting to not feel like must-see television for me, so why do I need to watch it? There's not enough interesting stuff going on that would make me want to watch it. So that's the honest truth. Anyways, okay, Red Velvet, Leila Hirsch. Let's stick on topic here. Let's drink our tea and stick on topic. Leila Hirsch, the story of this match essentially was, and the commentator said it, Leila Hirsch, more of a grappler, Red Velvet, more of a kicky, flippy, not a swear word at all. I just didn't have another word that would go with kicky and flippy. So Red Velvet, I thought, looked, like I said, really good in this, and Leila Hirsch as well. Towards the end of the match, essentially, Leila Hirsch hits a terrible, in the best way possible, looking knee to Red Velvet in the corner, goes for the pinfall, kicks out for Red Velvet at 2, then puts her in an arm bar, and then Red Velvet gets the rope, and then she rolls her up, uses the tights, and gets that win by pinfall. And it's almost like they had a roll-up quota. No, I'm just kidding. This is not WWE, guys. This is not WWE. But no, I at first I was like, what the, why did they do that? And when I think about it a little more, it makes a little more sense to me. So if you were like me, and you thought, hey, that made no sense, why did they do that? Leila Hirsch looks silly. Let me offer you an alternate perspective, similar to, what Ashley and I were talking about last week. Maybe it'll help you enjoy this a little bit more. And maybe you can be a fan at a Dynamite taping or a Dynamite show, live show, and not be so systematically bogged down by Tony Khan and the rest of AEW's booking and actually get hyped up for a women's match that has really good work, because you guys know if again, I'm not going to name any names, but if there were two dudes in this ring doing this match, they would have got a better response, because AEW has trained you and I know it's not just me, because I am someone who is probably one of the bigger advocates for this women's division, right? Again, I'm offering, I'll get tattoos on my freaking body for life. They go away in 7 years anyway, so it doesn't matter, right? No, I will. I am, going with the DMD sign, Brit Baker, all the way, all these women, really. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm an advocate for this women's division, is my point. And even there's a thing that goes off in my brain that says, oh, it's the women's match. I can, go make a tea or go make a coffee or something. I don't do that, because I actually try to watch every part of the show, because I don't want to miss anything, and I cover it on here. So that would be I'd be doing a really bad job if I was doing that. But AEW has trained us essentially to say, oh, this is the women's match. This is like the pee break, and it sucks, because this was a really good match and it deserved more of a reaction than it got. I think the reaction was okay, and you could definitely hear there were a lot of people in the crowd that were like up for it, but even still, a lot of that stuff feels like pat on the head kind of up for it. So I'm not even going to go down that road. We're just going to analyze what we saw on TV, and the alternate perspective I was going to give you guys was that and maybe you thought of this already, and maybe I'm definitely not the only person to come up with this, and maybe you really enjoyed the way this ended as well, and you're not like me and you're just a cranky butt. So, but the way I looked at this, and I was like, oh, okay, this wasn't stupid. Actually, maybe it made sense for this. Leila Hirsch. I'm picturing Leila Hirsch in the in Jacksonville, when the Daly's place, I don't know why I blinked for a second there, at Daly's place with just the wrestlers really on the outside, and she had, I can't even remember who the match was against. I don't think it was Nyla Rose, but it might have been. And this was not the only time she ever did that, right? But this is the one that's coming to my mind. She tried to do a moonsault, essentially. Like, she had the match won, and she tried to do a moonsault, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, for all I know, for all you guys know, I could totally be making up all of this, and who's going to fact check me? Watch, like, 3 of you actually tweet me and fact check me. No, but so Leila Hirsch was on the turnbuckle doing a moonsault or something. She had the match won, but she needed to do a little extra flair thing to it. She needed to do a little extra something like a springboard or something. I forget what exactly it was, but I think she was doing a backflip. And she messed up, and ended up losing the match. And I think that happens with a lot of Leila Hirsch matches, because it's a clear pattern I have in my head of Leila Hirsch being really cool and awesome, but just kind of never being able to get the job done because she goes for broke too much. And not in real life, but in kayfabe terms, and actual storyline canon, right? She goes for broke too much, and that's how she loses. Maybe this was a version of her doing something like that with the armbar rather than just pinning her, and then she almost lost, but instead, now because she's a heel, she used the tights, she rolled up, so either way she'll win, even if she goes for broke or not. I don't know. There was some attempted character development here for a women's division match, and I was all for it. I will take what I can get at this point, which is really depressing, but post-match, she puts on the armbar again. By the way, she won. I think I said that. Yeah, with the roll-up with the tights. Puts on the armbar again. Red Velvet. Oh my god, I forgot to mention. Red Velvet sold that arm incredibly in this match. Incredibly. I really thought she was injured for a quick second. I was like, oh no, Red Velvet's just a baller. And now I'm hitting my tea against stuff. But yeah, Leila puts the cross armbar back on Red Velvet after the match, and then Chris Statlander comes out, makes a save, and I'm excited for this match between these two. I assume Leila Hirsch is going to take the win, which kind of sucks, and I don't think the payoff is going to be, I have a feeling Leila Hirsch is going to cheat to win, and then we'll see what she does next. I don't know where Leila Hirsch goes next. Maybe I just have a lack of faith in the women's division booking in this company, so it's hard for me to get too excited about it. But you know what, guys? This is progress. This is a step in the right direction. I will take what I can get, like I said. So, here's when we had that video package that I already talked about from the Kings of the Black Mat. Something, I don't know what it was. The Black Throne. I didn't look it up. I forgot. Picture-in-picture cue cards with Sammy and Fuego del Sol. That's another thing about the ladder match I forgot to mention. The whole Fuego del Sol interference made no sense to me. It just made no sense. It wasn't like Cody Rhodes was doing anything over the top than they had already done. It just felt needless to me. It just felt like another, I don't know. It's like, again, AEW is a nice company. We want to get Fuego del Sol on TV, but when it's at I forgot to mention as well. Look at that. I missed so many things in this opening match. I'm not even gonna go back, and we're not gonna talk about anything else though, because we're moving on. I'm tired. We got to talk about Brit Baker. But yes, when AEW makes like your, Fuego del Sols, like when their niceness, quote unquote, right, if you want to call it that, comes at the expense of the actual stories and the show, I don't know. I just felt like it was unnecessary, but it didn't kill the match. The match wasn't, again, there wasn't much to kill anyways, so. All right, next up, Brit Baker, DMD, coming down to the ring. Essentially, she just kind of... This is another example of, like, the thing I said with the bricks. Like, she had this idea about some quarterback. I don't know, guys. I don't like football. I think football is the most boring sport in the world. I'm sorry I said it. I love hockey. I like basketball. I like soccer, even. I really like watching hockey, actually. Probably out of the most... basketball is the most fun. But football is so boring to me. It is so unequivocally boring. And so that's my subjective point of view. Don't at me. But yes, so she talks about some quarterback named Baker or something, and basically makes fun of him and says, at least you have one Baker you can count on, and talks about her PWI awards, and that was it. I think this would have made a lot more sense to me if one of two things. One, you didn't have the next match, the main event with Adam Cole, who's really mad at Orange Cassidy about the fact that Britt Baker took this awful bump, and then she's perfectly fine. I think it would have been better if maybe Reba and Jamie Hayter were there. I don't know where they are. Hopefully they're okay. Hopefully they're healthy. And if this wasn't all about just making fun of Cleveland, like, if it wasn't all just cheap heat, essentially. This had little to no substance to it. And it felt like another attempt for AEW to be like, oh, look, guys, look over here. We have a women's division. Look, this is Britt Baker. This is our women's division. Look at all the awards she's won. This is our women's division. Look at Britt Baker. No, but what about any developing, other talent? What's any other storylines? How many matches a week of the women do you have, on Dynamite? No, but look at Britt Baker. Look at this is our women's division. Look, she's our champion. Look at all the awards she won. It just didn't work for me. But you know what, guys? Subjectively though, that's my like official podcast point of view. Subjectively, I was just happy to see Britt Baker. Okay, Nyla Rose comes out. Cuts the best promo of the night on Ruby Soho. Talks about how she cost her. She cost her, right? Correct grammar. She cost her the TBS championship in the tournament, and that her victories of fluke. I love this line for some reason. If they wrestled 100 times, she'd win 99 of them, and she'll prove it next week. You know what? I'll take it. They do it with all the men, the angle for an angle's sake. At least they're making an effort here. And you know what? Nyla Rose is like not a bad promo. The excuse me, I could live without, speaking of Vicky Guerrero earlier on in this show. But as we wind things down here on the AEW Dynamite review show, I'm going to take another sip of tea, and we're going to talk about our main event, which was the Lights Out match, Adam Cole versus Orange Cassidy. I love the tea bag into. Oh, I don't know why. That's gross now. It's because it's room temperature. All right, we're not talking about my tea. We are talking about the main event that was the Lights Out match. And, yeah, guys, I got mixed feelings about this whole match. I thought it was a fun and interesting, you know what? You don't know unless you try it. I've had a lot of experiences in life, guys, where you don't know unless you try it. So that's kind of what this main event was for me. This was like a different take on a Lights Out match, and you don't know if it's going to work really until you try it. And I give them the credit for taking a different approach. I thought it was creative. And I thought it was, obviously with an Orange Cassidy and an Adam Cole, as Adam Cole is right now, it was going to probably take a more comedic route. And the fact that they got to this whole match with the perspective that I was explaining talking with Ashley last week. You guys, if you listened to the show last week, if you didn't, I know it's a little out of date, but you should still go listen to it. It's like a 3-hour conversation. We talked about just AEW. We were really just reviewing Dynamite, but you know how it is when you just get to talking about something you're passionate about. So, but yeah, when you come at this match with the perspective that, Adam Cole started this match because Orange Cassidy accidentally knocked Brit Baker off the table, and Adam Cole was like, you know what, lights out match. It's gonna be a little silly. I don't think it's gonna be like this blood feud. The only thing that didn't match with that tone is the Orange Cassidy. I guess it kind of did. Orange Cassidy really firing up, and it's been cool to see another layer of the Orange Cassidy character. But we had Danhausen just somehow under the ring. Orange Cassidy hitting an awesome tornado DDT on the outside, and then there were a bunch of really good spots in this match that, this to me, guys, I'm not gonna go through this whole thing because it was very similar to what I was talking about with the opening match. Same idea. I just felt like it was kind of more like spot to spot rather than a little less than the first match, but definitely when they went backstage too, like that seemed so pointless to me. They didn't have the Rhea Ripley, Raquel Gonzalez factor. They lacked that. It felt very contrived in a lot of ways, but I did like the ending of this with the hug and then falling off. And yes, Adam Cole actually lost in an unsanctioned match, so it will not count to his record, but Orange Cassidy wins by pinfall. With a hug, I guess. I don't know what you want to call it. A hug off wherever they were, through the stage. And again, it was creative and it was new and it was different and you got to try stuff out. Did I think this was the best thing ever? No. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was, guys. You know what? Now, yeah, when I really think about it, I don't have any complaints and I'm not going to try to make any up. I thought they addressed the necessary interference in a way because it's the way that the whole program was built. It was going to be weird if no one came out. I thought they handled that really subtly and just here, it's here, we're addressing it, but these guys are going to have their match. I thought Orange Cassidy had a bunch of awesome fire up spots. I've been falling in love with Orange Cassidy in matches like this and last year's Beach Break. So I enjoyed this. And you know what? I'm just going to leave it at that, guys. I enjoyed the main event. Let me know your thoughts on the main event. And let me know your thoughts on the whole show. Because I am going to go try to make a different kind of tea. Because this one's not great. And I'm going to go to bed. You know what? Tweet me your favorite kind of tea, too. Are you a tea drinker? Do you salute people on a Zoom call when you log off? Or Skype or whatever you do? Are you that kind of person? Let me know. And let me know what you thought of this episode of Dynamite. Let me know if you think Adam Cole is going to be Hangman Page challenger of Revolution. Let me know what you think about the Texas Death Match thing that I didn't even approach. You know what? That's the last thing I'm going to say before we get off on this show. The Lance Archer, Hangman Adam Page thing, I didn't mention that. The one thing I'll say, and I'll treat it like the main event because AEW certainly doesn't seem to be, at least with the whatever's going on. I'll put it at the end of my show here. When you have to book a stipulation for a match, when you have to because the original match is so uninteresting, you got a problem. Stipulation matches are fine. They're certainly having a lot of them on AEW, but are fine, especially when they're warranted and when they make sense, or when they're and I'm not even saying this doesn't make sense, or when, like for me, if Orange Cassidy and Adam Cole, I guess they already had another match, so that doesn't really make sense. This ladder match with Sammy Guevara and Cody Rhodes, if they had just had another regular match too, both of these people already had matches and they're the things in the front of my mind. My point being is that if we just had Lance Archer versus Hangman Page in a regular match, I know it would be boring as all heck. And I guarantee this match between the two of them is going to be awesome in the Texas Death Match. I loved Hangman Page's reaction as well during that promo. I thought that was so funny. But it's a problem, when you're booking somebody and they're not good enough, or they can't put on a good enough match with this person, or they're not over enough, or whatever you want to call it. You have them in your world title orbit, whatever you want to call it, challenger, and they can't even have you can't even book a regular match because it's going to be too boring. That's a problem. That's something to just take a look at. So, all right, go get your tea, guys. Don't get your tea, whatever you do, coffee, water. If it's the morning, the evening, have a wonderful, whatever time of day it is. Have a wonderful Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And have a wonderful everything. I can't think of anything else that you can have. Have a wonderful meal. Have a wonderful meal in the next 24 hours. And have yourself a wonderful day. I will talk to you guys next time. Thanks for listening.
So are you a trucker, or do you know somebody that's a trucker? somebody that drives an 18-wheeler for a living, right? They basically live out of their truck. Well, there's a website that I can give to you that may be a great gift for them, and that is truckerfactory.com. That's truckerfactory.com. So what's this website about? It's got everything you need to essentially live in your truck. If you're on the road a lot, this website's for you because it's got everything you'd need, from dash cams to GPS, smartphones, chargers, AC and DC adapters, portable power stations, laptops, everything you need to stay connected, as well as awesome apparel that'll keep you warm while you're on the road, headsets so you're hands-free while you're driving. So we know there's a lot of people out there that drive trucks for a living, and especially today. So go check out truckerfactory.com. All of their prices are extremely reasonable. I mean, really high-end laptops for under $1,000, the latest smartphones at a discounted price. I mean, this is a website that you can't go wrong with if you live on the road, or if you know somebody that's living on a road, driving a truck, for example. So check out truckerfactory.com. So we know you love your wrestling podcasts, but maybe you're looking to take a break or supplement your wrestling podcasts with another genre. I've got a great option for you. The podcast is called Philip and Michael Talk Movies. Doesn't get more simple than that, right? So what exactly is this? It's a comedy podcast where indie pro wrestler Philip Shadburn and filmmaker Michael Benton, they tell you everything you ever wanted to know about your favorite movies. They do 80s action, comedies, horror, slasher movies, sci-fi, and a whole bunch more stuff. So check out some of the movies that they've reviewed. Silent Night, Jingle All the Way. They did a bit of a Christmas special. They did Edward Scissorhands, Alien, John Carpenter's E.T., Fire in the Sky, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and Arrival. So, guys, this is a podcast you're going to love. I was listening to just their latest couple of episodes on Close Encounters and Arrival. I was laughing out loud. I mean, they are just such a dynamic duo. They have a great chemistry. The audio is second to none. They have a 4.9 rating on Apple Podcasts. That's impossible. I mean, that is impossible. Guys, we have like a 4.1, all right? They're kicking our ass. They got a 4.9 rating on Apple Podcasts. It's nearly impossible to do. So that tells you the quality of this podcast. And if you want to just get away, you're a movie aficionado, and you love kind of 80s and slashers and things, check out Philip and Michael Talk Movies. They also have a Patreon page if you're interested at patreon.com/PMTM. So you can go support them there. Of course, they're available nearly everywhere you have podcasts as well. So check out Philip and Michael Talk Movies.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.